Good afternoon, Sports Insanity Network fans. It's Mark Oldupsky Halpern here on the Sports Insanity Network. Always joined on this episode of the Six Man Up with my PIC, Danny Boy, Vice President Danny Boy Reginald. Dan, how we doing today?
Good. It's Tuesday. Um, Another big week ahead in all of sports. Home stretch for our New York Knickerbockers. They
Yes,
rounded up the
who have
season
clinched the playoff spot?
officially because thank you, Philly.
Yeah.
You know, um, despite the fact that when we'll get to it, they're on a two-game losing streak, which is it is what it is. Um, Knicks going to playoffs. Is it a three seed or is it a
I
four?
believe it. Is it going to be a three or is it going to be a four?
That's where we're at right now. So honestly, based on how this season has gone, I don't care what seed. Just get to the playoffs, which they did, and kick ass when you're there.
Who
That's
they'll
one thing
face,
we can.
who they're going to face. We would love to be able to give you that answer right now and be able to place a bet on that of who they would face. But unfortunately, that is up to the basketball gods, and we will see how that plays out. But where Dan and I left off was against the New Orleans Pelicans. Dan did mention we're on a two-game losing streak, but it wasn't started here, thank God.
Mhm.
The Knicks faced off against the New Orleans Pelicans the other night, and they won 121 to 116. Game highs by our usual suspects: Jalen Brunson, Carl Anthony Towns again with a double double. It's been a while since I haven't been able to since I haven't had to say double double with Carl
Mhm.
Anthony Towns' name in it. OG had a good game with 21. But Kyle Bridges finally scored more than nine. Um, and a little bit of help from the bench. The bench wasn't really used in this game. Dan, the Knicks took this game really because of the control of the first quarter, and then everything kind of evened up. Go ahead. What's your response on this one?
Yeah, a great first quarter. Everything else was a little sloppy. Didn't love the second and third quarters. Um, But with that being said, look, Knicks were able to close things out when they had to. And look, sometimes, gotta win ugly. Look, 10 straight points by Brunson towards the end of the game. Um, like that was the way to seal the deal. And like I said, thank God for that first quarter because let's be real about that. Like, it's not like the Knicks were world beaters midway through the game. So, um, and that's something that I think people should pay attention to more because, we've given the Knicks a lot of credit over the past month or so for how they played in March, most part of March, and obviously parts of February too. For their winning streaks and being able to beat teams that are better than them for the most part, and just straight up taking care of business. So the fact that the Pelicans were able to make this a closer game than it should have been, and after the last time we faced them, it was a no contest. That's something that we need to look out for. So very and not I'm a little disappointed, but like I said, win is a win. We'll take it. Like we're not gonna. I think you'd be crazy to continue to criticize teams that can find ways to win, even if it's ugly.
Exactly. Not every win is going to be pretty, especially in the NBA.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I've seen top tier teams not score more than 90 points. It happens. But yet one team comes out better because it's 1 point more. That's how it is. There are no ties in basketball. Um, what we have been seeing over the last little while is the Knicks bench has been used less and less. And I'm wondering if that's as we're getting closer to the playoffs, just to keep a lot of these young guys fresh.
Well, it's that, and also it's not like the bench is. I mean, look, you know, you're gonna find production in many other places. Like Mitchell Robinson still is gonna have a trillion rebounds, and Alvarado is going to come in. He's not going to score that many points, but he'll give an assist or two. Diawara is going to come in and you'll feast off no more than 10 points. So it's not like the bench production is actually helping the Knicks. A lot of the production is coming from the starters. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Tibbs era. These past few games, all season, the bench has been used pretty well for the most part. But over the stretch, I'm seeing a lot of starters doing their things, and the fact that Mike Brown is sticking with them is a tell sign of, hey, look, we gotta be ready for playoffs, and these are the best players that are going to give us the best shot to win.
I couldn't agree more with you on that. And as Dan mentioned, the Knicks started a 2-game losing streak, which did not help. Of the 2 games, this was the game I don't think they should have lost. It should not have lost to the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets basically stung around and buzzed around the Knicks' ears all night, giving them trouble no matter what. As the Knicks took the loss 103 to 114, game high, usual suspect in Jalen Brunson. But this was a game, Dan, where we only really can talk about Jalen Brunson. I'm sorry, no offense to anybody on anything, but Jalen Brunson not only did it with the points, he did it with the assists with 13, and nobody else on the Knicks could muster more than 17 points in this game. The shooting was atrocious. There was no rebounding. And here's the thing. I said in the last game before, we haven't seen a game where Karl-Anthony Towns hasn't been mentioned in a double-double. Well, here it is. He had 3 rebounds. WTF.
Mhm.
Now, actually, let's go for the gold. What the fuck? I'm going to drop it for once. I rarely do. It was just not there for the Knicks that night. No matter what they did, the Charlotte Hornets, backed by LaMelo Ball with 22, Knuppel with 26, and Miles Bridges with 17. The Knicks were just outmatched in this game, Dan.
Yeah, the Hornets. Like who would have thought the Hornets would feast on the New York Knicks? From start to finish, it was pretty embarrassing. I know the Knicks, they kind of sort of tried to come back, but at the end of the day, like it was all Hornets. And um yeah, no, the Knicks did not have a great game. They had a tough time guarding Knipple, who again made 6 3-pointers against them. He was feasting all over the floor. He was pretty cool. LaMelo Ball having a great game as well, like you said. And with the Hornets starters actually doing its thing versus the Knicks starters who didn't do anything other than Jalen Brunson, like it was a game that I think I would like to have back. You know, Obviously it was a very close first quarter, but then midway through the game, like I said, the Hornets just continued. Their offense was just lethal, and their defense was embarrassing. The Knicks to watch.
It, Knuppel, as Dan brought up, had one hell of a game, fell 2 assists short of a triple double. That's something the Knicks have been good on. I don't believe there's been, not even Jokic had a triple double against the Knicks, but this is the closest a player has come. And as Dan really highlighted it, this was one of the most poorest defensive games the Knicks have played all season. Um, as I had pointed out, the Knicks rebounds were 24 total in the game. Normally, that's Karl-Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby's total together. And the Charlotte Hornets had a total of 43. When you're almost getting doubled in rebounds, that's where your problem lies. Putbacks, missed opportunities, stuff like that will crush a good run. And this was at the time where you don't want your New York Knicks to getting devastating losses like this, Dan.
Yeah.
It was a hard loss, and that we agree you're not going to win every game, but going into this next game, a win would have been helpful as the
Mhm.
Knicks went on to face the the league leading Oklahoma City Thunder,
Yeah.
uh, and the name alone is what they are. They should be nicknamed Lightning as well, but Tampa Bay has that in another sport, so whatever. This Thunder team is one of the best teams I've watched in a long time in the NBA, and the Knicks gave everything they had in this game. Could have really, I mean, against a great defensive team too. Um, Obviously, game high, usual suspects, Jalen Brunson, 32. Um, Again, not another 20 plus person shooter, but better around 15 from Bridges, Hart, Towns, 10 from Anobi. The rebounding finally got better with Carl Anthony Towns with 18, Josh Hart with 6. Brunson got in there with 5. Brunson also had 5 assists. This was a game that you can say that the Knicks would go in not expecting to win. And I
Mhm.
want to say it that way because, and I want to try carefully because I don't want anybody to think that I'm a Nick hater because I'm not. I'm a Nick lover. That really didn't come out right, but um, the Oklahoma City Thunder are probably gonna win. It's gonna be close, but are gonna win the NBA championship unless certain things happen, and I don't wish for any of those certain things to be part of it. If the Knicks didn't lose the game before, I would have been okay with this loss because this is a fight game. The
Yeah.
Knicks were able to keep up. They put up 100 points against a team that does
Yeah.
not give up.
And midway through the fourth mark, they're only down by one. So it's not
Exactly.
so it's not like the Knicks came in and were god awful against OKC. No, the Knicks were very competitive against OKC. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was 5 for 15 shooting. They did a
Mhm.
tremendous job against him defensively. It's not like the Knicks came in to OKC and got embarrassed off the floor like they didn't belong. No,
Right.
they competed and did very well. It's just a shame that when you have Caruso and SGA down the stretch, they're making timely shots. Like I said, Shea, he had 30 points,
37, yeah.
but
I mean,
10
sorry, 30 points, sorry, 37
but
minutes.
10 came in the fourth quarter. So it's like
Yeah.
it's not like he was having a great shooting night. It just happened to happen in the last 5 minutes of the game. So it's
So,
like, it's one of those things where it's like I said, the Knicks are a talented group. They can find ways to win, but against teams that are better than them, when you have an opportunity to pounce, you got to pounce on it. Otherwise, teams like OKC, they're going to take advantage of the fact that you ain't going to take a lead.
right.
You can't miss
You know,
shots towards the end when it's a 1 point lead. Like, put pressure on OKC. You've been playing defense well all night.
this was one of the better defensive games, even though they lost. This
Mhm.
was, I mean, the way things were going when you look at OKC's stat line, they should have had 150 points on the board the way that this
Mhm.
game got off. But the Knicks stood straight. They didn't back down. They didn't whimper out. They kept up. As Dan said, fourth quarter, we were down by 1. But here's what I'm going to point out. The ex Nick Hartenstein doesn't, we know it's not the points he's known for. He's known for his great rebounding, and that's what he did 13 rebounds on the night. Chet Holmgren, 9 rebounds on the night. You have a Mitchell Robinson and a Carl Anthony Towns on the starting floor with these two. Let's just keep it go, just so everybody understands. Now we're going to go off to a different statistic. We're just going to go to points. Jalen Williams, Alexander, and Holmgren all had 15 or more. And even Dortch chipped in 12. The bench had did little, but those little notches is what helped out. This was a hard fought game by the Knicks. The only way the Knicks are going to face the Thunder again is in the finals, thank God. But Dan, this to me shows that there's still fight left in the Knicks,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that they're not done. This loss, as I like to, as I said, as I call it, as a good loss. You go in
Yeah.
expecting to lose.
Yeah, I wanted to point out again, this is the second time the Knicks have faced OKC this season, and we're very competitive against them. So, and here's the thing that I've noticed about the Knicks all season. Like I said, against teams that are better than them, sometimes they fall incredibly flat and are no show. Other times you get games like this where they give an effort and look, they either don't do enough to win or the team just flat out knows how to beat you. So, or both. So with the Knicks, the fact of the matter is they have a lot of issues against teams that are better than them. They have a lot of issues trying to find ways to get that victory, to really send a message. But it's encouraging knowing that, at least they know it's because teams are better than them and not because they're being embarrassed off the floor or all these crazy things, like again, not because they don't know how to compete or anything. Like I'm not concerned about that. So there it is.
During when I was growing up, it was always you would talk about Knicks Bulls, Knicks Boston, Knicks Indiana. That was the talk back then.
Nick
Then you
Boston's
move.
still a thing.
Well, unfortunately, now it's a mixture of things. When it's now up, like Dan said, it's still Boston, but now it's other teams. The Pacers aren't what they were, but the NBA is starting to take a turn, especially Dan, because the No King's Day really doesn't apply to the king himself, but is really the king on his way out, Dan. Is it time for LeBron James just to finally say, it's time to take off the crown? I've done well in the NBA. My
Well,
legacy is
I mean,
solid, solidified.
it's whatever he wants to do, I guess. It's
But
it's
in
up to
your opinion,
LeBron.
in my opinion, you're looking at the guy who's accomplished every feat that you could probably want to accomplish as an NBA player.
Sure. You mean you're dead on?
Okay. Am I going to say, look, I am a Jordan fan. Is he better than Jordan? No. No. I'm sorry. We can have that
I
argument
mean,
another day.
I think the last few years of watching LeBron, not necessarily look, LeBron was so 2010s, right? He was so
Yes.
2000s, right? So it's like those were his best years. 2020s haven't necessarily shown the best of LeBron. He's been dragging a lot, basically what I'm saying. So yeah, like you know, you've been in the league 23, 24 years. Like, yeah, like,
And we've proven that his apples do fall farther from the tree as the other Braun is down now in the G League and really has proven he can't cut it in the NBA so far. So far, hey, he's
I
in the
mean,
G League. It's farther than
yeah,
most of us ever have made it.
yeah. Um, I mean, it depends on what LeBron wants to do. Um,
Exactly. It was just a note I had, and before I forgot about it, I wanted to make sure we at least brought it up in other news talks. As Dan and I brought up, well, the Knicks did make the playoffs, which is good. Who they will face off, we will be able to let you know right now. If you were to look at the full standings, the Knicks is the third seed at the moment with only a handful of games to go.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, and they're only a game ahead of Cleveland, so
Correct.
nothing's locked up yet. And Cleveland has been winning a lot of games lately.
It's on a 2 game winning streak currently.
Mm,
And then you have the at the bottom, you're looking at a 3-way run between the Raptors, the Hawks, and
mm,
the 76ers.
it is very close right now. If I had to, I would say that those last two spots are going to be between Toronto and Atlanta, and I don't know who gets the five or the six. I don't know who gets it. Um,
It's gonna be close. It depends
Mark,
how they come out and play.
look, Ops guy. I don't know about you. I kind of like my chances facing the Raptors if the Raptors are the five. Like,
Well,
do
yes.
you not like their Knicks matchup against the Raptors in a
Well,
seven-game
especially the way
series?
they played them this season. I
Like,
would love that.
let's be honest about that. Like you can't look at that five seed, see that the Raptors could be there. And of course, the Raptors could also fall to the six, and then the Knicks can stay at the three, and then we'll still face the Raptors. But like the idea of facing the Raptors in that situation makes me smile a little bit. Um,
I would be happy with that. I would also be comfortable with Atlanta.
I would be too. Atlanta's been winning a lot of games lately. They're eight of their last 10. So, they've also been winning a lot of games. I want no part of Philly. I'll tell you that much.
Because
Uh,
we have not played well against them at all.
and thank God the Knicks are not going to face Philly. Like they need to stay at the plate. Like stay there. You know?
Stay where they are. And jumping over to the Western Conference, just to take a look in, the Thunder and the Spurs have both clinched. We got the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, and the Rockets. All let's cut out the Timberwolves. The Lakers and the Nuggets look like they're going to be in very, very soon as they keep on winning. Most right now, if you look at the entire Western Conference going into the playoffs, they're all on winning streaks. They haven't lost, so
Mhm.
it's hard to really make a statement. But the battle, Dan, I think, comes between Minnesota, Houston, and Phoenix
Yeah, man.
for those
Like
final spots.
yeah. And look, the Portland Trailblazers, Golden State Warriors, by virtue of the fact that the Grizzlies, Pelicans, Mavs, Jazz, and Kings all stink. They're already in the play-in. So now it's just between the who gets the seven, who gets the eight in the play-in. Is it going to be Phoenix or is it going to be Houston? Right now, I think Houston is looking pretty solid to lock up that six seed. If they can continue their winning ways. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens.
As Dan pointed out, the play-in will be going on. And here's the question, Dan. Did the Golden State Warriors have Stephen Curry for it? Will he be ready at full strength?
Even if he's 70%, if Kirk can play him, I would play him.
I think you need him whether if he can't shoot, it's his leadership on the court.
Right. Well, it also depends. Like if the Warriors think it's worth going for a championship, knowing what they have against what they're up against, excuse me. It also really depends on that too. I don't know what's on Steve Kerr's mind. I don't. Does Steve Kerr want to have the smoke with Oklahoma City?
I mean, the worst thing any coach wants to be is to come in and be the first one out in the playoffs. To
Like,
come in,
because that's what you're up against. Because
it's the Coach
real,
Carter lineup situation.
do you want to shock the world?
Shout out Samuel L. Jackson. We know
Yeah.
you're a fan, just can't officially call you one until you hit that subscribe bell, Sam. You hear me, Sam? No, the ending of the NBA season's coming to a wrap, and the playoffs are just around the corner. And you're going to have Danny Boy and myself here getting ready. And if you've watched over the last few years, during the first series Dan and I like to go live for at least one of the games, so
Yeah.
you could get an in-voice perspective of how we're playing in the playoffs. But usually we get joined by some of the guys who think they can talk basketball. And when they're in there talking about it, and Dan and I are sitting there like this, it's fun to be able to be the guy who knows the most in the room for once. That's like Dan and I joining. To be honest, Dan and I joining Breakaway Bandits. Dan and I would be there, be like, he put the puck past the red line. That's a good move, I guess. I don't know.
So in order for it to be icing, the puck has to go past both of the lines, the neutral
Ah.
zone, and then
Oh, you're allowed to get
the
in fist fights.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
there we go.
it's a penalty afterwards, but yeah,
It's a
you're like,
penalty afterwards. I mean, you got to have time to
you
stop the bleeding.
know.
That's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Six Man Up here on the Sports Insanity Network. Danny Boy Reginald and myself will be back here next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, unless earlier, unless there's other big breaking news regarding our beloved New York Knicks. Please follow us at www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com, where you can read all these great blogs and vlogs and jump on and listen to all the podcasts that you may hear or you may not hear. Go to YouTube. Wait a second. You're on it. Take 2 seconds. You're watching. Hit
Yes.
subscribe. You got 2 seconds. You can move that finger. Even if you're Stephen Hawking, you can hit like and subscribe.
Yeah,
Not a problem.
and then after you subscribe, there's a drop down.
Yeah.
You can hit that one of those bell buttons, and you'll know when we go live because that's the notification signal. You
And
know
then you get to see our beautiful faces reporting on not
exactly.
just basketball. Dan,
Mhm.
we got baseball. Now
Yeah, baseball's in
we got
full swing, baby.
baseball.
Yeah.
We're gonna have we're coming out of March Madness, which we're
Yes.
into the Final Four. You know, speaking of basketball,
Yeah. Oh, by the way, shout out to UConn for
what
playing the Duke Dragon. You know,
what a game! What a game!
beautiful.
Mind you, I'm not a big college basketball guy, but even
Me
I can
neither.
recognize a good game and I'll sit and watch it.
Yeah.
So down to the Final Four. My bracket, I didn't even bother doing one because I'm
Yeah.
always done
Neither did
after the
I. I
first
didn't
round.
do I didn't do bracket either.
I'm usually out and down,
I feel
go
so
early.
much better not doing a bracket this year.
Yeah,
You know?
I felt happier watching it, saying
Yes.
I'm not contemplating. Oh, did I pick that? No, I didn't pick anybody. There we
You know, not
go.
worried about losing money because none of my teams made the final four. You know?
Right. So we're gonna have NBA ending. We're gonna have the NFL draft coming in, and you'll have Dan, Mike, and myself, and even the Patch Man will be there for the draft. Check out the guys on the wrestling for the face turn. Listen to Breakaway Bandits, Danny Boy. There's one more social we're on. What is the big social? Where can they find us and be able to watch this great podcast and all the other ones?
So at S Insanity Real on both Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter. So please follow our socials. We would really appreciate um your support. And we're posting as much as we can on the socials. So please follow us.
Elon, as you're the head of X, we know you see us. Just give us a confirmation. Not a sponsor, but we would just like Twitter to be an official sponsor. So if you hear us, please come like us. Come hit that bell. Come into a chat. We'll talk whatever you want. Rocket science, aerospace, dynamics. Dan knows it all. It's not a problem. For Mark Oldovsky Halpern, Danny, Vice President Danny Boy Reginald, we want you to have a great time. And you want to know what? Go New York, go New York, go. Catch
Mhm.
you on the flip side.